Greetings to all Liberians far and near. Greetings to all Liberians in Liberia as well as Liberians in the diaspora. I am Rabbi Prince Joseph Tommonh Garlodeyh Gbaba Sr., Liberian playwright, theater director, actor, and educator. Today I have come in my capacity as chairman of the recently formed Kukatonon Peace and Reconciliation Initiative, KPRI, which was formed by 50 prominent Liberian citizens and myself here in the United States of America, based on our deep concern for the deteriorating circumstances in the Republic of Liberia. As patriots of Liberia, we feel that it is our obligation to step up to the plate to assist the government and people of Liberia to restore rule of law and respect for the sanctity of human life and properties. We know that over the past 40 years, there have been political upheavals in Liberia, beginning with the rice riot on April 14, 1979. April 12, 1980, we had a military coup d'etat in Liberia. The military coup d'etat in Liberia was not initially orchestrated by the so-called 17 enlisted men of the armed forces of Liberia, as Liberians were misled to think for the past 40 years, but instead it was orchestrated by invisible hands from outside of Liberia, world powers and people who did not want Liberia to progress, because during the Talbot era, Liberia was advancing, and also because of his support for the non-aligned movement, as well as his support for the liberation struggle of the total liberation of Africa. He became a target of the West and a victim as well. Unfortunately, the reaction of those who were in power to speedily try 13 government officials without due process to summarily execute them in public and before the eyes of the world brought condemnation to the government of the time and the people as well. And based upon this, many families, many people were affected. Many families were affected. They left the country, went in exile, and collaborated with prominent Liberian politicians to buy weapons to wage a war on the Liberian people and government. That war, of course, turned into a genocide. And a genocide is a willful killing of people based on their ethnic backgrounds, based on their beliefs and concepts. And we know that during that war, those who were fighting for the rebels identified certain ethnic groups to be totally destroyed. the Crowns, the Mandingos, those who were members of the government, those who were soldiers, those who were paramilitary personnel of the country, anything that it could do to destroy the entire fabric of the Liberian society, they did. And today, here we are. And also, let me be sincere as well, that even during the Liberian genocide, that American Liberians and Congos were also targeted by those who wanted to revenge because the rebels had killed their people. And before we all could realize it, everybody's life was in danger. Well, fortunately for us, conscientious African leaders decided to intervene. Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Gambia, Senegal, they all joined forces to come and assist us with the formation of the West African Monitoring Group, ECOMOG. ECOMOG was a great African experience. It exemplified that Africans could galvanize support, economic, material support, to resolve political conflicts on the continent of Africa and also in the West African sub-region. They did an excellent job, but there were ulterior motives by Western powers to undermine the beautiful work that our African leaders did to intervene in the crisis in Liberia. And with the coming of the United Nations, we saw that the entire peace process took a different course. We also saw that due to her international connections and all of that, Mrs. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was able to raise funds, was able to connect with all of her influential international supporters. First of all, to have Mr. Taylor freed from jail, roam about freely, free from jail from the United States, which is quite impossible to do, roam about freely, go to Liberia, go to Libya, Burkina Faso, the Ivory Coast, train fighters and child soldiers to wage a war on the Liberian people. Unfortunately, there seems to be a divide among Liberians with respect to whether the action that was taken to kill 250,000 people was justified. Well, each one of us has his own opinion. But at this time, it is time for us to stand up as Liberians, to step up as Liberians to redeem our country. The argument about who is right and who is wrong is not the issue at this time. We know that though those who perpetrated the war were given the opportunity, they were given the opportunity to rule the country, to do the best they could, to unite the country, and to rebuild those things that are destroyed, and they were unable to do so. Charles Taylor had his opportunity. He was unable to do so. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf had her opportunity. 2 terms. She was unable to do so. So, my colleagues, those statesmen and women who stepped up to join me for us to organize the Kukatonon Peace and Reconciliation Initiative, because we feel that we don't want to cast blame on anybody, but we want to assist. Why? Because we are professional people with different skills, different experiences, different capabilities, that when we all get together, we can make a difference in Liberia. This is an appeal to all Liberians that we want peace, we want stability, we want rule of law in Liberia. We want those who perpetrated these atrocities, who committed treason, to be brought to trial. And it's not because it's witch hunting, but it's because that's what the Constitution of Liberia mandates. We must adhere to the Constitution of the country in order to restore rule of law. Those who have perpetrated atrocities in the country can have their due chance, opportunity in court. They are entitled to due process so that they can explain why they did those things, and if at all, according to law, whether it's justified to do that or not, the law will determine, and then we can move forward. But there is no way that we can continue to sit and say, let bygones be bygones. Let bygones be bygones is not part of the Constitution. It's not part of the Constitution. You can look in the Constitution, you will never find any chapter there or any article that says, I can come and kill your whole family and then tell you, let bygone be bygone. That's not possible. And so you can see why Liberians all around the world, especially those who are on the ground now, are speaking up. And the voice of the people is the voice of God. June, what's the date again?
June 7th.
June 7th is going to be an historic day in Liberia. And I want to thank all the organizers of the June 7th March for what you are doing. We support you because it's democratic. That when the people are unsatisfied, they have a right to assemble, they have a right to express their grievances to their leaders, and it's the responsibility of the leaders to respect the requests and demands of the people. We expect that those who are in authority will respect our views when they are presented. There is no need for Liberia to suffer the way we are suffering today. There's no need for Liberians to suffer. We have put our youth at perils for 40 years. 40 years. Yet, there are some of you who are being paid to insult reputable citizens when they speak their mind, when they stand up for justice and truth. Those of you who are doing that, you need to stop, because you're putting yourselves on record. You're putting your children on record. You're putting your family on record. Because things that you are supporting are counterproductive to the safety, well-being, and permanency of our democracy, of our lives. It is important that we obey the law, that we respect constituted authorities. It's very, very important. The Kukatonon Peace and Reconciliation Initiative has a theoretical framework through which we are going to operate, through which we hope that the government of Liberia will operate. And that theoretical framework has to do with our culture, our history as a people, as a nation. Every nation and people has a history, has a unique culture. We have a unique culture. And as one of the leading Liberian cultural experts, I want to say here, the reason why the Liberian peace process failed is because our cultural tenets were ignored, because our cultural beliefs and practices were not inculcated in the peacemaking process that was mainly conducted by foreigners, people who don't know our history and our culture. You don't know our history and our culture, you come to judge Palava in Liberia, and you don't know, and if they told you, say, the Palava took place in Seklepie, you don't even know where Seklepie is, but you come into judge Palava about Seklepie. You got to know where Seklepie is, who lives in Seklepie, why the Palava started, and all those kinds of things in order to get to the root of it. But instead, rebel leaders, warlords, economic criminals use the international connections, lobby it on the West African coast, harassed African leaders and think that they were the best to do this and do that. And unfortunately, here we are today. They politicized the whole thing. How can you make a decision and give authority to somebody who killed over 250,000 people? Why would you make a decision like that? In the United States of America, if you steal one candy, you go to jail. You can never be a senator, a representative, a minister in the government and all of that. But President Jimmy Carter had the guts to come and confirm the election result with Charles Taylor, declaring Charles Taylor as president. Could he have done it here in the United States of America? No. But some of you don't read in between the lines. You felt that, oh yeah, because I'm for Charles Taylor, so that's good. But that was a very bad example that Jimmy Carter set. That's not democracy. He knows that he can't do that here in America. But he can go to Africa and do it. And you sit down, you the African, instead of being conscious, you sit down, you say, yes, that's good. Jimmy Carter did well. Jimmy Carter confirmed the thing, so the man, he won the election overwhelmingly. You should think. You need to think. The Kukatonon theoretical framework instructs every Liberian, first of all, to respect the rule of law, to respect the Constitution. That you cannot operate a nation and rule of people without the Constitution. And that when you have the Constitution, it should not go in the dustbin. It should be used, it should be utilized to the letter, so that you can have rule of law in the country. so that nobody can be above the law. Right now, people are above the law. They feel that they're above the law. Prince Johnson or rebel leader can get up and say nobody should go to Nimba County to go and campaign. And the president of the nation sits down and hears that and doesn't know that it's undermining his authority as president of the Republic of Liberia, and you don't take stands and you keep shut. Nimba County people don't need a rebel leader to defend them. Nimba County produce a lot of brains that have helped Liberia. A lot of brains. I went to school in Nimba. I received my calling on top of Nimba Mountain. That's where I received my calling, from Nimba. Nobody owns Nimba. Nimba is our home. It's everybody's home. Nobody owns any part of Liberia for that matter. Every Liberian has a right to decide where they want to go to live in Liberia. Nobody can tell you, say, don't come and live here because you crown. Don't live in Nimba because you crown. I grew up in Nimba, I was crown. I grew up there. Lived there, went to school there. And nobody bothered me because I was crowned. Nobody bothered my parents. We lived in peace. Gabriel Fangalo didn't have to take guns to go and fight the Liberian people or the Congo people for Nimba County to be declared a county. No. They used their brain. Robert Kennedy didn't have to come from Lofa County to go fight Tommonh and say, well, I will shoot you if you don't make Lofa County. He didn't do that. James Y. Babia didn't have to do that for Bon County either. They used their brains. Look at all the educated people we have from Nimba County. And this man will come and just make all of us look like fools. For what? For what? Look at all our fathers, our leaders that were killed. Jackson F. Doe, a legendary educator that inspired all of us. David Dwyer, another educated person that inspired all of us. He was superintendent when I was a student at Carroll High School. These were people, these were our mentors. Stevie Daniels' home was my home. That's where I used to go every Sunday from campus. I used to go there. Good people. And they didn't die across government lines with those soldiers. They didn't kill them. They went and killed those people because they wanted Nimba and the indigenous people to have a leadership vacuum. Creating a leadership vacuum that what got us where we are today. That what got us where we are today. Why would you, even if you don't know much, you're not well educated. If you're not well educated, you can't ask somebody who is educated and say, please help me. You can't do it. What is all this arrogance about? Arrogance. You don't know, but yet you're too proud to ask somebody who knows. How you think some of us learn? Things that I don't know, I go to people who know it and I ask them. If I want to play football, if I don't know how to play football, how to kick or line or whatever it is, I will go and ask Opon. I say, Opon, I beg you, please let me come practice, can help me, teach me how to play football. You gotta respect people who know what they know, so that you can learn from them and use their ability and their talents to build the country. Your hatred for one another is killing everybody. I could have been making movies for Liberia on the international scene, but your hatred, your jealousy, for nothing jealousy, is killing all of us. If it can't be me, then it will not be Joe Gbaba. Joe Gbaba, that crown man. You fail to realize that I'm the leading playwright in Liberia. You can't count 1, 2 persons all counting my name. But when you're making your appointments or doing whatever it is, you calling all the other people there that cannot even produce a piece of line. That's not how people appoint governments and form governments. You take your best brains. Your best brains. That's what you take and you put them there. And you give them a mandate to achieve whatever it is that they're supposed to achieve. That's how you run a country. You don't run a country on nepotism, tribalism, hatred, jealousy. That's not going to work. That's why it's not working. And when you tell people that book is not important, then you will see what darkness and ignorance is. That's what we're going through now. Book is not important. No electricity, no running water, no roads. We can't feed ourselves. We got the human soil. We can't feed ourselves. And the students there at the University of Liberia, in agricultural college, they're wasting human resources when those very young people can be put to use for their country. What you don't know that other people know, be humble and ask them so they can help you. June 7th, March is necessary. It's necessary. And we will pray that will be peaceful. We pray that will be peaceful. But it's necessary. And we hope that the world will listen to the Liberian people. We hope the world will listen to the Liberian people. This thing has gone completely out of hand. It has gone completely out of hand. Completely out of hand. All the disrespect, the lawlessness. Everybody that comes from Liberia got something negative to say. The darkness in the place. That's what happens when you say book is not important. When you take away the book, the light can go away from there. When the darkness can be there. That's what happened. Because this thing here, you see, so that's light. That's not darkness. What you write on a piece of paper, it stays there forever. As long as you keep it, it will be there. It will not disappear. That's what's happening. You got all the blood stain on you. You finish killing people, all of that. You got the people on a Durex. You go hold election, give the people bribe, the people hungry. You give them something to eat and jump in the line and go and vote for you. This is such a disgrace to the Republic of Liberia. It is. And we are willing. We're willing to come to provide services. Services. How can you have a war where you killed more than 250 people or genocide of that magnitude, and you've never had any kind of rehabilitation program? No rehabilitation program. No social services for the people. They have not been able to overcome the grief and suffering that they've gone through. But yet you've added more to it by taking the very people that killed them to make them senators, to make them representatives. And what do you expect of a hawk but a grunt? A hawk will never say kukuruku like a cock. No. A hawk will That's what you did. You take rogues and you put them in charge of the coffers of the country. What do you expect? What do you expect when you take leper and say, leper, please mama goat? When you come back, you think your goat will be there? That's simple logic. Simple logic. A leper, I'm going all the time, I beg you, let Billy go stay where you just, leper say, yeah, let Billy go stay. But when you come back, Billy go will not be there. That's what's happening to us. For heaven's sakes, we are appealing to all of you, especially those of you who support warlords and economic criminals. We are appealing to you to stop doing that. Join us, the patriots, to unite our country, to provide services. I've taught thousands of well-educated people, some of them ambassadors, some medical doctors, some professionals in different fields and all of that. It won't take a dime or a penny for me to pick up the phone and call most of these people who are all out here in the United States, in Europe, and say, look, man, we got a campaign going on. We need to go there to help our people with education, with health, help a good healthcare delivery system, with construction of roads and all of that. And definitely the people will be willing to come. But some of you sit there in Liberia and think that people, Liberians here in America or in Europe, are not Liberians. What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? What makes you feel that because I'm here in America, that I'm not crying? Muti unse embli wapo ajuboy. Muti amwembo money. Unse berenya wulubo money. Ya konti we dan wulu anjubo we. Mo kawa mana. Mo kra kaw. Mo ye o ye kwibli yi o ya jebe bo money. Yes, ye belly. What I just said was that I know where I come from. I know who I am. And because I know who I am, I can never forget where I come from. I can never forget who I am. And that's what the theoretical framework teaches Liberians. Don't forget who you are. Don't forget where you come from. We are the Israel of the black race. Look at where we are today. God blessed us and made sure that our land was not even touched, not colonized, even though they encroached upon some of our territories. But God made it clear that He didn't want anybody to touch that land called Liberia. That was just for His anointed people. That's why Liberia was never colonized. It was not because of us. It was not because of man. It was a divine mandate that that land be preserved for all free men and women of color. That's what Liberia means. That's what Liberia means. Our children going to school, they don't even know the history and culture of our country. And you feel proud. What are you proud about? I sitting out here, I can name about 18 or 19 generations of my people. I can tell you my mom's name, her mother's name, her father's name, the great-great-grandfather, their name, this and that. I can give you up to about 20 of them. Why? Because I sat down by my parents and I asked them questions. They answered my questions and I wrote them down. So I know it. I know more history about Crown history than most of the Crown people who were born in Grand Judah. I was born in Monrovia, but I learned that because my parents taught me. Our history and culture is very important. So the Kukatonon Peace and Reconciliation Initiative is also advocating for cultural awareness. Cultural awareness is important in Liberia. You ask somebody from the village and they tell you, a village, say for instance from Grand Judah, and they say, I don't know how, I say speak Crown. You say, I don't know how to speak that thing. Your language, you call it a thing. You don't know how to speak your language, and you can't even speak the English that you talk, that you claim to be speaking. You don't even know how to conjugate your verbs. I don't know how to speak that thing. You're referring to your sacred heritage as that thing. So the Kukatonon theoretical framework aims to help you mentally accept yourself for who you are instead of thinking you're somebody else, because you are not. And that's just a complete waste of time if you want to live as somebody else and not yourself, because you don't have much time to be on earth anyway. So you may as well be yourself, and by being yourself you will know exactly what your needs are, how to go about it, and if things are difficult, who to talk to for assistance. You got to ask for help. Things you don't know, you got to ask for help. Things you don't have, you got to ask for help. That's what God himself told us. He said, ask and it shall be given unto you. Seek and you will find. Knock, it will be open unto you. Oh, I want so thing. Oh, Mr. Jadwell, I want so thing. Well, you told Mr. Jadwell at that time, but he wasn't paying attention. So now at the end of it, no. Go back and say, oh, Mr. Jadwell, you know, the last time I asked you for so thing, but it looked like you were busy. You didn't hear, you didn't understand me or so. So maybe at that time he will understand. Say, oh, well, what was it? Oh, I need so thing. Oh, so, but then go and get it. You see, because you knocked, you went back. It's not everything you want you're going to get at the same time. It's not going to happen like that. It's going to take some time. But you have to have some kind of a perseverance, a sense of direction. And the cultural awareness will give you that sense of direction. Crew, man, Cribble, Crown, Bassa, Dewian, we, Bele, people, our brothers, children, blood relatives. That's why you see we live on one side of the country. That side of the country we live, that's why we speak similar languages and things. You won't understand that unless you know your history and your culture. If you don't know your history and your culture and your crew, you will think say the crown men are different person. You don't know that your relative. That's your relative. That's why you live side by side. Now you're not just neighbors. Your relatives, that's why you speak almost the same way, same kind of thing. You got a lot of cultural similarities. It's the same thing with the other people on the western side, the central side. The Loma, the Kisi, the Bandi, the Pele, the Va, the Mende. They're related. They're intermarried. They're related people. So we're related. Then with the integration system, with all of us intermarrying, Congo marrying indigenous people, crewmen marrying Gola woman, this, that, blah, blah, blah. We all mix. So you need to know your culture so that you will understand that all Liberians are related. All Liberians, if you are a Liberian, all the other Liberians are your brothers and sisters. They're not somebody for you to hit, to talk to any kind of way. It's important. It's the same thing with the provision of services. The provision of services is very important in the lifeblood of a nation. Don't just open any kind of schools. To open a school, you got to have a laboratory for science. You got to have a library. You got to have good classroom teachers, qualified teachers. You got to have textbooks. You got to have the materials and all those kinds of things to have a good educational system. Someone comes from Harvard University. You made all the noise from the time our baby crawling to the time beginning of grandfather. You made all that noise. Ellen, we took him, we made you president of the place. And the only thing you could tell us was that your Liberian educational system is a messy education. And you feel proud. You should be ashamed of yourself because you disgraced Harvard University. That's what you did. You disgraced Harvard University or messy education for somebody who is educated. I could understand if George said, oh, the educational system is messy because he himself needs education. But what about you? What about you? You work with UN. You work with all these different places. All these different world bodies and all of that. Everybody say, yes, this woman is going to help us. This lady is going to do this and that because she's well known. She has worked for the world and done this and that, blah, blah, blah. And you come. And all you could do was to provide a messy education. Because the children are not your children. They're other people's children. You could only just give them guns. Buy guns for them. This is what we're talking about. People have to be human beings. Leaders have to be human beings. Leaders have to respect the rights of the people. So this is where we are. We all need to convene a national conference where we can sit down and talk. And I'm not talking about these politicians that are in the pocketbooks or Ellen and whoever else it is in the wallet of or whoever it is. I'm not talking about those kind of politicians. I'm talking about people like us who got our own money, who don't care about money basically, but care for the love of the country, for us to sit down on the table for us to talk. I don't want no politician jumping out of the talk for me when you get a job, then they shut their mouth. No. We need to have a national conference. And we're going to make sure too that the Kukatonon Peace and Reconciliation Initiative be represented on the table for us to talk real talk, for people to understand. Not your broker talks. When you're broke, then your job and say you talk all kinds of things and act like you care for people. When time comes, then you take money and deceive all of us. That's not going to happen again. Trust me, there will be more marches to come until we can get this thing here right. Democratically. We got to get it right. You people have disgraced us. And then where we go, people got to be explaining. Explaining what? We don't even know what to say. Oh, how come you had a war and you took somebody that killed 250 persons and made them your president? What can we say to that? Oh, how come Chancellor is in prison and this and that for war crime in Sierra Leone, but you elected his wife to be vice president? What can we say to that? Oh, how come the footballer who's not even educated and not this and that, you elected him to be your president and he doesn't know what to do? What can you say to that? You the same people you're jumping up and down in the street. Country giant. Yeah, not today. When some of us who can see, will start talking, you'll start cussing people's mind and things this and that. But yeah, today. But it's not late. It's not late. Sensible people will always recognize their error and make up. This is time for us to make up. But you need genuine people, not brokers. You need genuine people to sit on that at the peace conference to discuss what you're supposed to discuss. Damn. I just want to close by thanking all the members of the Kukatonon Peace and Reconciliation Initiative, Liberians who identify themselves with me. I know one or two persons, they have had a change of mind because it's not just as easy as people think it is. When you stand up for justice, when you stand up for the truth, you have to face the challenges that will come along with it. It's not cheap. You got to spend money. You got to speak up. People will hate you for what you stand for, but you got to be persistent to make sure that what you stand for succeeds. I'd like to say thanks to my competent vice chair, Esther Riches, stateswoman Esther Riches, who is doing a fantastic job reaching out to our colleagues in Liberia, reaching out to the youth. We want to say thank you very much, Esther, for being a wonderful stateswoman and sister. Benjamin Purcell, D.R. Wilson, D. Sheba Brown, Bushy Ben M. Keita, James Fasikwa, Gloria Musu Scott, Howard Dennis, Cecilia Bloor Talbot, Isaac Yonley, Philip Blamo, Richard Bala, George Cassell, Esau De Shields, Ajua Kelebeku, Aramita Gbaba, Isaac Ye, Wisa Jigbe, Dr. Lincoln Brunel, Sebastian Tikla, Lovetta Tober, Siple Weir, Sedia Okon, Louis Randolph, Nelson Gay Wright, Charlotte Stewart Stubberfield, Elsa De Shields, Kepa Dwyer, Jackie Bruce, Jackie Seaton, Charles Goodrich, Harry Nangwe Tucker, Moses Adolphus Massaquoi, Femi Williams, E.C. Collins, Bob Dolo, Stanford Peabody, Timothy Bangu, Fatu Chinaweth Mason, Joe T. Wilson, Orlando Krenga, Matok Bangba, Aaron Vaughn Williamson, Joko Bryant, Edward Carter, our able Secretary General. We want to thank you very much for your wonderful work that you're doing. God will richly bless you for it. Dr. Etimus Gay, Statesman Albert Nene, Statesman Mishak C.A. Elliott, and this is the list of people who have identified with us so far, and we want to say thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much for your time. I hope that what I have shared with you today will be meaningful, will be helpful, and that hopefully we can all work together for the common good of our country. Let us not ask what Liberia can do for us at this time, but what we can do for Liberia. And I am willing, prepared to assist in the area of culture and education, cultural awareness, teacher training, production of Liberian cultural movies and historical research, etc. And I'm sure most of my colleagues whose names I've called are also willing to assist in whatever way they can. May God richly bless you. Thank you so much, and I thank all my colleagues for electing me to be their chairman, and I hope that we can all work together for the common good of Liberia and the youth. Thank you so much.